Okay. Yes. So when I think Kaina invited me to speak on this, he wanted me to talk about the thrills and challenges of advanced research. It's mostly pain, actually. Okay, I just want to understand the audience because I don't know who I'm speaking to, actually. How many of you have decided to do a PhD? Okay, how many of you have not decided? How many of you do not want to do a PhD at all? Okay, the undecided people should sit in the front, right? That's the purpose of this. Okay, so I actually don't know what to talk about this, except I know that I just heard the few previous speakers talk about different things. So I thought about it. So I would, some of these points I'm going to echo the same thing. So the outline of my talk is very simple. There are only 4 points to make, and then the first one is my journey in 5 minutes. So like some people have shared their own personal journey. I'm going to share my journey, right? That's the only way the relevant needs start. And then I'm going to make 3 points to you. Okay, the 3 point is there's no answer book, the greatest teacher, and the meaning of black belt. Okay, these 3 things. Okay, so let's start with my journey, right? So that's me back in 1997. So why I got into PhD was I was curious. So my area of research is in semiconductors. So I chose that path long time ago when I wondered about, why electrons travel faster in silicon. Kind of a innocent question. And why they travel slower. Okay, but I'm not going to go into a lecture talking about that. So that led me to study waves, electron moving as waves in silicon crystal, and I work on a thing called quantum dots. Okay, and the first thing when I worked on this was, basically it's called artificial atoms. You're confining electrons in tiny nanostructures. Okay, so the first thing that I worried about was I ever going to get a job doing this? So that was my constant worry for 5 years while I was working on my PhD. Okay, so I know once you don't understand this now, but for those who have decided to be doing PhD, you understand how I feel about this, right? You realize. But today, quantum dots are now used for quantum computing. In fact, even they find them in TV screens. Okay, so, but gaining the PhD brought me to places to see things that I've never seen. So I thought if I got a PhD and I got out and be an academic, it seems like a cop-out. That was how I thought about it. So I said, I want to cut my teeth in industry. So I worked for Motorola, and one of the companies I worked for is IBM. In 2007, I went to New York, and I worked on chips, beautiful places, brought my family there, and enjoyed a good time, right? But I worked on some of the most advanced technology. So that was one of those stops on my journey, right? After gaining the PhD. And I knew that if I didn't get a PhD, I wouldn't be there. And I wouldn't be looking at some of the most advanced technology that eventually, in fact, the technology I worked on made itself into iPhone 5, which I was proud of, and also amazed that something I built actually works, which is kind of mind-boggling, right? I work with the companies. And then I think sometime later, I moved from US to Belgium to Europe. So I worked for a company called IMEC, and we work with all these big companies, semicon companies. And again, I work on, great food, nice chocolate, advanced fab. So I went to see another world, another culture, the same type of fab, but new technology, right? And these things made themselves into, some of the phones that you have today. So I was really happy. And then eventually it brought me back to Singapore in 2016. Okay, I ended up as Provost. Okay, you know where the end point is so far. Okay, but I was very excited because I was joining a top university in the world after traveling the world for almost 2 decades, gaining my PhD, seeing the world, and then, I started a new lab and I enjoyed the work. So today my research area is I look at chips that could rewire itself. The next generation AI stuff. So that's my story. Okay, and after this, now I become a school administrator. Okay, this is not a necessary endpoint for you, for those who are doing PhD, okay? So that should be, okay? Now, so I'm going to come to the 3 points that I'm going to make now. There's no answer book, the greatest teacher, and the meaning of black belt. Okay, and I have 5 minutes to do it. Okay, so there's no answer book. So you are heading into a frontier of what we know. Okay, a lot of PhD students have this thing when they first start, and my students are saying, is this right? Where's the answer to this? They are most shocked when the advisor goes and say, I don't know actually, you tell me. And they are lost. They're lost for a while. Because when you first go for a qualifying exam and stuff, in fact, we're not giving you an answer from back of a book or question. You're supposed to read a paper, analyze it, and tell me how you're going to do the research. So the first thing is, you're working at the forefront of knowledge. Your advisor actually he's not going to have all the answers. Your job is going to find them. Okay? So your advisor doesn't have the answers. Now what? So you will have to find it, and you will find it in time because you have to graduate. And your advisor's fund is running out if you don't. That's the biggest problem, okay? So there's no book of answers. You are there to write that chapter. The second, the greatest teacher. So Star Wars. So Yoda has bad grammar, right? It says the greatest teacher failure is, right? And your true teacher is learning from your work and learning from your failures. So remember that. That is your biggest guidance. And this is also the most difficult thing for most students. It is when you live with such uncertainty, that the uncertainty is, okay, is this right? You don't know. Need to do. That's why you have peer review, you need to publish, right? And then the second thing is that you don't know what you're doing is relevant or whether you can ever find the answer. So during that period, the most difficult period is in year 2 to year 3 of your program. That's when you're thinking, am I going to graduate in time? Where's my material? So going through a PhD is going to train you, and the only way it trains you is it trains you through this experience. Your advisor and you are not strictly in a normal teacher and student kind of relationship that you're used to when you're undergraduate. You're in an apprenticeship, master-apprentice relationship, like Star Wars. So Yoda and Luke, right? So, and the greatest fear you will have is that you don't know if there's actually an answer, and your advisor also doesn't know. That's scary, okay? But that is what the test is. Your greatest reward is that when you figure this out, you earn the confidence to be independent. You now earn your title as master, okay? Now, in the Sith world, you'll kill your master and become the next Sith. But hopefully, you're still Jedi, right? So you're not going to do that. Okay. So the last one, the true meaning of a black belt. So what your goal is when people call you doctor, is that you earn that black belt. But what does that actually mean? Okay. So here's a thing that long time ago when I did martial arts, I think my instructor also said the same thing. But this is something I captured from honors.sg webpage, right? It say, so the sensei, when the teacher asks, what is the true meaning of black belt? The students say, a symbol of distinction and highest achievement in our art. Now, most students always believe that. Earning a doctorate means just earning more pay and respect from people, okay? And so your teacher would definitely say, you're not ready, return in 1 year. Okay, but typically the professors don't do that. Okay, they will say, please do your work and get it done and graduate in time, otherwise I run out of money. Okay? So here, in about 1 year's time, the sensei asked the same question again. What's the meaning of the black belt? And the students say, the start of a never-ending journey of discipline, hard work, and pursuit of ever higher standard. Yes, you are now ready to graduate. That is the true realization, okay? So the key message is that you become the master only if you accept to be a student forever. People who do PhD are people who want to continue to learn. It is not a title that people respect you for. You're not king or something, right? So like for example, most of us colleagues, we don't go around calling a doctor this, doctor that. Yes, and we do that out of respect, but really it is to show that, okay, you are on the pilgrimage of learning. And you now, like the previous two things, you have earned the right to be independent, you have the resilience, right? And you now understand you can always find answers to the toughest problem. You can organize teams, you can organize yourself to go get the answers. Most of your friends who have not done a PhD will not be able to do this. It's not that they don't have the brains, they just don't have the heart and the resilience. So it's commando training. It's resilience. If you can survive the 4 years, okay, some people take 5, and you earn this, there's something changed in you. I guarantee you that. Okay? But you first have to suffer. That's what this is. But I tell you, it will bring you to many, many places you've never been before. Right? So with that, I think I end. So, find your own journey, right? Everybody's one is different. So how to get a PhD, I don't know. It's up to you. Okay? But now I hope you figure out, do you want to do this or not? Right, thank you. Yeah.